Hey, Dental Nachos crew, this is Paul, Dr. Nacho, and I'm so excited to have an awesome guest on Spicy Toppings. And our theme is going to be very nacho-y, JBN, kindness, but also what are some dumb things that smart dentists do? So glad to have someone who I followed for years, Rich Madow. Welcome to Spicy Toppings, and share with our audience what you do in your daily dentisting day-to-day life.
Hey, Paul, so great to be here. I'm glad to finally be part of the Nachoverse. I've been a big fan of Dental Nachos, maybe not quite from the beginning, but for several years now, and I really love what you do. I love the kindness and niceness thing, and hopefully we'll get to talk about that today. And I have a Dental Nachos sticker on one of my guitar cases.
Oh, I love that. Thanks.
I think I've taken it to the absolute top Nacho level just by doing that.
I like that for sure. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's great to be here. I know some of your, or many of your followers are younger people. I know you have some kind of acronym for that.
Yeah, we have baby age dentist. We got them all though. Baby age dentist badge, medium age dentist badge, seasoned age dentist badge. I've been a dentist for now 18 years or 19 years, so I'm still in the medium age category. When did you graduate?
I graduated dental school in '84. I'm 62 years old, so I think that makes me like over the hill age dentist.
You're
Is there an acronym for that?
Seasoned age dentist. So 84 plus 36. You're getting close to GAD, golden age dentist. Right now, you're still.
Oh wow.
Season
well, I qualify for senior discounts at a bunch of places,
like that.
So I'm getting there. Well, anyway, I actually have been involved in not just practicing dentistry. I have my own practice for many, many years, but for the last 3 decades have been writing, speaking, coaching, consulting, blogging. You know, way before podcasts even existed, we had our audio series, which I think was first of its kind. So I've been out there in the dental education, motivation, and consulting world for many, many years, have met and worked with thousands of dentists and probably 100,000s of dentists and team members from all over the US and Canada. We had our own very large dental convention in Las Vegas for 25 years called TBSE.
Oh, for sure. I've heard that and I've known many speakers have gone and loved it. That's awesome. I want to compliment you. You know, I've been running events for 15 plus years, and I know running events is like a passion project. And just anyone who's contributed to dentists being together in person, I admire you for doing that. So thanks for doing it.
It's a passion project. It's also kind of a disease as well, because you just can't shake it, even if you want to. But anyway, so I've been involved in obviously practicing dentistry, but also the world of networking and helping our colleagues. And it's just been so much fun. And as you know, dentists are just the kindest, nicest, greatest people you could ever meet. Although we do have our hangups and our weirdnesses about us, but dentists are great people, and it's just been a blast.
I love that. And to set you up for your first topic, I have this. So I have that. You know, what's our goal as a dentist? Not to cry on the inside or outside part of our body, to turn ourselves into people who feel like this, improving our dentist core. So tell me about this. I love this. I love the title. You know. Dumb things that smart dentists do. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was developing a new webinar during the pandemic. Obviously, we've all had to really change the way we present our material. So I developed a bunch of new seminars and webinars. And I'm sitting at my desk one day, I'm making a list of things that I wanted to talk about, and music blasting in the background, of course. And this old song, not really well known in the US, it's by an Australian artist, Paul Kelly, called I've Done All the Dumb Things, comes on. I'm making this list, and the song's blasting in my ears. I'm thinking, you know what? Dentists are really smart people. You know, we had to do great in a difficult major, had to go through 4 years of torture in dental school, then we're thrown out into the world without knowing what the hell we're doing. And so we've got to be pretty smart to do all that. Yet dentists, and me included, have done some really, really dumb things. So I'm just thinking, if I could maybe help dentists learn about what these dumb things are so they don't have to learn the hard way, well, that would be a cool.
Love that.
So I started making a list. I'll go through a few.
Yeah, identify. I want to know some of these dumb things that, you know, smart dentists do. What's a good example of that?
Okay, here's an example. We've been coaching and consulting at my company for over 20 years. And I would say 75% of the time when a dentist contacts us and we start talking about their practice and where they'd like to improve, they always say, we need more new patients. It's like a drug or a mantra. We need more new patients, as if getting more new patients would cure everything in their lives. And then we start looking into their data and we find that they've got patients who, you know, whatever you want to call it, have slipped through the back door, fallen through the cracks. Thousands of patients. I tell them it's kind of like this big bus of new patients pulls up at your office and they're all, you know, smiley and red cheeked and ready to come in, and they all walk in through the front door. Maybe they stop in the hygiene room. Maybe they stop in the dentist treatment room, but 80% of them just keep walking right out through the back door. And we really need to concentrate on what we're doing in our practice to make patients happier so they come back and so they refer instead of thinking we always need more new patients. So that's one dumb thing that smart dentists do.
Yeah,
cool.
I agree with you as a practice owner myself that if you get twice as many new patients as you normally get, whatever that number is, 20 to 40, 40 to 80, that's actually incredibly disruptive to your practice because seeing that many new people is exhausting. So focusing on the work that the people have and connecting with them, they've already been to your office at least once, they're warm to you. So I love that. What's another good example?
Exactly. I've actually told practices before, like for the month of whatever, October, I don't want you doing anything to attract new patients. We're going to have a humongous campaign to reactivate and say, wow, our schedules are fuller than we ever thought. And we haven't got, Okay. So along the same lines, I think we tend to concentrate on our clinical team, our hygienists and assistants, making sure they are top notch. And it's true, they should be. And yet sometimes we'll just throw anybody who can fog a mirror at the front desk and say, here's the phone, when it rings, answer it.
Right.
In our podcast is called the Dental Practice Fixers. Every week I do 3 mystery shopper calls.
I like it.
I mean, it's funny. This week, I just did 3 calls yesterday, 3 in a row. People say, like, do you do 50 calls and just play the best or worst 3? No, I do 3 calls. So here's the question I said yesterday. This is unbelievable. I called 3 random dental offices and said, I think I have a cavity. What toothpaste do you recommend? Not one of them said, well, if you think you have a cavity, you should probably come in to have that looked at. It was unbelievable. They all just said, all right, you should get fluoride toothpaste. Okay, click. I mean, what?
Show us a little bit and give us, because I know you guys have been doing this for years and deliver so much value. What would be a good start to answer that question in a smart way, right? Okay, hey, I call you. I think I have a cavity. What toothpaste should I use? What's just start the right conversation there, Rich? What could a front desk say?
You can say something like, we're just winging it here, of course, but say something like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear you have a cavity. What makes you think that? So get you talking about dentistry a little bit. I'm having some sensitivity, feels weird when I bite, whatever. Say, oh, wow, well, that's definitely a situation that we should look at. Tell me, how'd you hear about our office? What made you call us? And then they can say, well, I just moved to the neighborhood and I saw your sign. Now we're going to get a little bit social here. Oh, that's fantastic. Why did you move to Philly? Oh, you have a job with the whatever telecom company. Oh, that's great. We have a lot of patients that work there. Oh, you're so lucky. You have great insurance. I mean, whatever it is, start a non-dental kind of social conversation and then say, and they say, you know what? We really need to look at that. It might be nothing, but rather than just recommending a toothpaste, why don't we have Dr. Goodman take a look? It doesn't matter. We won't even charge.
I mean, Tim Ferriss is one of my favorite podcasters. He talks about don't ask people if they would buy, ask them to buy sometimes. And in this scenario, it's a perfect scenario because they came to you with a pain point or a challenge that you know how to fix. You've trained how to fix it. So at least say, would you like to come in so we can take a look at this to make sure it doesn't get worse? And they're just going to say yes or no. But it's such great advice but I understand if I was a front desk team member and I heard a question like that and I wasn't trained with words, that would be a reactive thing. Use Colgate Total. Get this, because you're asking what there is. So I love that. So that's a good example. So we have the new patients, the front desk training. Give us one more example in the category of dumb things smart dentists do. I made Rich so excited there. I think I froze him there. Oh, good. Okay, good. I see you now.
That's like a Zoom trick you can do. Just freeze.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Well, I'll kind of combine two. Dentists, are always looking for that shiny object or whatever you want to call it. And I've seen many dentists think that either buying a piece of new expensive equipment or signing up for some fancy esoteric course is going to be, that's going to be the cure. And look, I've got nothing against technology. I know, cone beams take incredible images. It's really cool if you could do a same-day crown. I've got nothing against these things. But too many dentists are sold this by a high-pressure salesperson and think that it's going to change the crux of their practice. And it's just not. It's going to give you better equipment, sure. But it's not going to, if you're looking to improve your practice, increase your revenue, have better patient relations, communications, expensive equipment and esoteric courses aren't going to do it. I find like, good advice is just dance with who brung you, as they might say in the South. And for most dentists, it's one practice, not group practice, satellite practices. It's doing things like endocorn crown, restoring implants, scaling and root plating. And you don't need fancy equipment to do those kinds of things. You need communication skills.
I mean, every good, I wish I was an NBA player, but it's fundamentals of dribbling, passing, and shooting first before you take Steph Curry length 3-point shots. before you try to dunk a basketball. Also, every one of us, me included, has bought a piece of exercise equipment that wound up hanging clothes on it. And here's why. Not because we didn't like exercise risks, but because it wasn't the exercise we wanted to do. And we didn't identify and say, you know what, I didn't want to do a Nordic track or elliptical, but we do like our Peloton. So figure out what you like to do, because I just said, being a practicing dentist still, full contact arts and crafts on people that don't want to be there is high intense pressure. When you're doing something you don't want to do, it doesn't matter if it thinks you make a lot of money, you don't want to do it. So really great advice, restoring implants, crowns, things like that. Now let's just shift gears before we finish up, Rich. So you've been around dentists for decades. And this is a question I'm asking you authentically. I have too. And it always bothered me that dentists couldn't really get along. You know, I thought it was the Hunger Games mentality of dental school, and you run CE courses. And one of my big missions is getting dentists to just be nicer to each other, more collaborative, just that, right? One of my catchphrases is, nobody likes the dentist. We might as well like each other, right? Nobody likes it. But tell us a little bit, we could be spicy toppings. Where do you think this problem with dentist to dentist interaction comes from? I mean, you've observed thousands of dentists.
Yeah.
How can we make it better?
It's a great question. It's a fascinating question. And I think just like with anything else, when somebody is troubled or having issues getting along with others, it starts from within. And I'm glad you brought this up, because it's something that I'd like to, I don't know if we're coming towards the end here.
No,
but
you
it's
got
something
some time.
that,
We're good. This is
cool.
we have time, sure.
Yeah, too many dentists have what I call a negative happiness equation. And a negative happiness equation means that we don't like what we do, but we do it 4 days a week or 5 days a week, thinking that earning money doing something we hate is going to make us happy on the weekends by spending that money. So you just get in this like negative happiness cycle. So, you know, you find yourself, oh, TGIF, or, you know, you've got the Sunday night blues, where on Sunday night you feel like puking your guts out because you can't even fathom that tomorrow morning you have to get in your car and go to your dental practice. So I think it does start with within, and too many dentists have a negative happiness equation. So then we start to resent dentistry. We start to resent ourselves. We resent our colleagues. And then we get competitive, like, oh no, like if I talk to Paul about something that worked well in my practice, he's going to do better than me. And he's going to get the next new patient. I won't, I can't do it.
And what's crazy to me is, you know, it's the opposite of dentisting is parenting. Because if you see a parent who has a young child who doesn't sleep, you want to do everything in your power to help that parent. Whether you say, oh, try this, do this. So for some reason, and you hit the nail on this Nacho head, there should be no competition. We're all working towards as best we can and supporting each other. It could be out. Gary Vee talks about this 51-49 being altruistic and selfish. Most people are 90% selfish, 10% altruistic. Best you could be is 51% selfish, 49% altruistic. But if you want to be selfish about it, Rich, if dentistry raises the game for everybody, everyone's going to make more money. So if you say the guy down the street is great at what he does, or female down the street, or your colleagues are great, then you're going to raise the game. Like, you know who does it really well, Rich, is chefs, right? Chefs have done this amazing food, and they all promote how great it is, and they support each other in ways that's so much better than dentists. So now, Rich, tell me, you've been around dentists for a while. What could we do that's actionable to make this better? If someone's sitting there thinking, you know what, that sounds like me. I'm a little bit negative. I'm probably not as nice to my colleagues as I think. What's an actionable thing they could do to make it better?
Well, again, I think most of it starts with us being happy in our practice. Because, you know, look, you know a ton of dentists, and you know some super successful, and they might be very under the radar. But I found the super successful dentists who love what they do are the ones who are the nicest to other dentists, who you want to hang out with when you go to a meeting. There's no question about it, because they love what they do, and that joy kind of radiates from them, and they want to share. They don't care about keeping it to themselves. It's the dentists who don't do that well and are miserable, and as you said, they're hunger gaming it. You know, those are the dentists who don't want to hang out with other dentists. So I think, again, finding that internal happiness in our practices is the first step to raising that awareness and being kind to other dentists. And, you know, I'm just amazed how many dentists are, I was going to use the word abusive, but that's way too strong. But I'll just say how many dentists don't treat their teams the way that they should and don't even like being around their teams. And, you know, it's so funny. I think I'm like you in a way. I don't know. To me, the natural thing is to be kind to other people.
Yeah.
And maybe it doesn't come natural for other people. And I remember when I first started practicing dentistry, before I had my own practice, when I was an associate, I would say like, please and thank you to my assistants, or I wouldn't point to something. Great. I would just like gently, and they couldn't believe it. Like, wow, this guy's, is he really a doctor? He's like saying please and thank you to me.
So sad to me, Rich. I just want to point out that that's such great training, because I talk about people communication. Your team's people, made up of people, patients are people, and you're a person too. So if we can infuse this into our people communication, it makes the day better for all of us. So I just will compliment you. And that if you're a young associate watching, or any age, by the way, because you can change at any age, saying something as simple as please and thank you to your assistants can go a long way. So I think that's a great tip.
Yeah, I've got, and along those lines, I think it's really nice that every morning, you know, whether you're the first one in or whatever, your team trickles in and then you do, to greet every single team member with a sincere hello. You know, we get so busy. And if you're a dentist and you've got a 9 o'clock patient and you show up at 9:10, that's the formula for a losing day right there. So, you know, everybody should be there well before the first patient and greet each team member and ask them a sincere question. If you know they saw a movie last night or whatever, you know, how was that movie, blah, blah. And then at the end of the day, thank every single person, every single team member. Just go around, thank them for being there. I also find it's really good to have a policy of no gossiping, no backstabbing, no talking about others. So how do you do that? The rule is, if you're going to talk about anyone, including a patient, a team member, anyone, you have to say, whatever you say, you should feel comfortable saying if that person were actually present. And just these little things, they make such a big difference. And then you're going to love all of your team members and you're going to look forward to spending time with them.
I love that.
Spend so much time with them.
Yeah. And also that could apply. That's great advice for social media too, because, you know, if you're not going to, there's a lot of keyboard warrioring in social media out there. And what I share is it reflects bad on the person who's saying this about somebody else, because what people don't understand is when you see things out of context, it really can just reflect in such a negative light on the person you're talking about. So I think that goes for social media too. Whatever you say it as if the person's there. And you know, Dental Nachos is about having tough conversations. We're going to have Jordan on next. The debt dentist face is tough. It's a challenging profession, but we can have these tough conversations with a foundation of respect towards each other, which is the same thing that should happen in your dental office.
Absolutely. You know, what is it with social media? If you like go on YouTube, whatever you watch, you know, a sports video, a music video, anything, within like 6 comments, it's evolved into people calling each other morons. I just don't get it.
If I could add some value, Brene Brown, and who has an amazing TED Talk. Brene Brown, she gave a TED Talk that went totally viral years ago, and she promised her husband she wouldn't read the comments. And when he went to work that day, she got out a bag of cookies and read the comments, and she was basically crying by the 5th comment. But then it just taught her about these people aren't in the arena with her. That's her comment, not mine. And that, you know, it just shows how unhappy they are. So anything we can do to just kind of make each other feel supported, make your fellow human being feel supported. We're all going through a pandemic. It's made this just an even crazier time on earth. So I so appreciate you sharing that message with us.
Yeah, and the social media thing is really true because people feel like they have that cloak of anonymity. You know, nobody knows who, you know, Peepers 1978 is. So it's the same thing in your practice. If a patient doesn't show up and you're saying, oh, Mrs. Jones is such a moron. Well, you've got that anonymity because Mrs. Jones isn't standing there. But if she were standing right there, you would say something like, oh, Mrs. Jones maybe didn't understand the importance of this appointment. Did we let her know that she needs to come in at 10 a.m. today? What can we do to improve that? Or if she just doesn't like to show up for her appointments, how can we deal with her and still keep her as a patient in this practice? You could say all those things right in front of Mrs. Jones.
And I love that. I mean, I did a video recently up again about, I post online like I'm talking to my 6-year-old child. And you should be posting online like someone's talking to a 6-year-old child or your 6-year-old child. How would they receive it? It doesn't mean you can't give corrective action. I got a 6-year-old who lives in my home, because I give her plenty of corrective action because she needs it, but it's done with a foundation of support and love. So that magic way as a leader, as a dental practice owner, as a poster, will make this world a kinder place.
Totally agree. So I really appreciate what you're doing to bring about kindness amongst dentists and team members. I'll tell you one more quick story, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
And it goes along with our team members and how we live with our team members. And it's so important because, as you know, I know it's a cliche, but we spend as much time with them as we do with our family. And I'm an empty nester, so I wish I could see my kids more, but live out of state
Yeah.
and, you know, whatever. So that's the way it goes. But many years ago, Dave is my brother. He's co-founder of the Madow Center. We had about 20 team members at the time, and we're going for our holiday dinner that year. And it's, you know, at a beautiful steakhouse in downtown Baltimore. And Dave and I get there early. The reason we got there early, of course, you know, it's always good to be early. We're putting out place cards where everybody has to sit. And the reason we're putting out place cards is, oh, well, you know, we can't sit Harriet near Linda because they'll fight with each other. If we put Joan near Jennifer, they're going to be gossiping and huddling the whole time. And then, well, I don't want to sit next to her. I don't want to sit next to her. And it was just ridiculous. And after the dinner, we said, you know what? We're never going to hire somebody again if they don't pass the place card test.
I love that.
If we wouldn't want to sit next to this person at dinner or feel comfortable with them sitting next to anybody else on the team, they could be the most skilled person, but they're not a good fit here. They should probably go somewhere else. So
totally love that. You should make that a book or a blog, the place card test. I'm going to use that myself, and I try to do that. That's so key. I love that story.
Feel free.
Cool.
Excellent.
Bring our next guest, but before we jump off, if someone's listening and says, hey, I'd like to reach out to the Madow brothers to learn what they're doing next, learn what course they have next, learn about their podcast, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, we'd love to have you. Our website is madow.com, MADOW.com. 1D. A lot of people try to put 2 Ds in there. So it's MADOW.com. All that stuff's on there, links to our podcast, our webinars. If you'd like, we've got a free book on there called Profitable Dental Scheduling. And it talks about what we were mentioning earlier, how the person at the front desk needs those skills to get a new patient off the phone and in the appointment book. And that's a free download. It's just madow.com/profit. So if you go to madow.com/PROFIT, that's there for you. So check it out.
Awesome.
We'd love
Natalie
to have you
will put that in the Facebook Live. We'll put this on Facebook. Make some comments. I so appreciate you, Sarah Rich. I know what we're going to meet face-to-face in person when that becomes again, but I'm glad we can meet face-to-face here.
It has been nacho-tastic. What else can I say?
Thanks.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, Rich. Have a great rest of the day.
You too.